WadCon Peoria. How you doing out there?
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming and listening to my stories, and thanks for being here at the wonderful convention. John, who wears the blue shirt and the very awesome pants over there, he's the guy who actually organizes this whole thing, and he puts it on. And I just want to say a big thank you to him for bringing me out and allowing me to be able to have this opportunity to come to Peoria. So I actually came to this area about 10 years ago. I was in, starts with another P. They have like midfield, Pecan. So when I got asked to go to Peoria, I was like, where the heck is Peoria? You know, and then I was so excited because I'm always loving to go to a new place and experience new cultures. And when I was in Pekin, I was in the most weirdest parade probably I'd been in a long time. I sat on the back of some guy's car, and we drove through the town of Pekin, and it was actually a pretty good time. But I've had a wonderful time here at Peoria, thanks to John, and without you guys coming, there would not be this beautiful show, or we wouldn't be able to have the possibility of coming out and experience your guys' city. So I just want to thank you guys for coming and being a part of the experience this weekend.
So, well, yes, thank you, and thank you, Daniel, for joining us. So, briefly, of course, man needs no introduction, but Daniel Logan. So you of course may know him from Star Wars Episode 2 in the Book of Boba Fett, but he also has been in such shows as Hercules: The Legendary Journey, Star Trek Continues, right? And Sharknado 4: The Fourth Awakens. So please help me welcome Mr. Daniel Logan.
Thank you, guys. So it's kind of funny. I never heard of Sharknado when I got asked to do the role. And they actually asked my friend Peter Mayhew, he plays Chewbacca in Star Wars. And they said, hey, we want you to be the pilot. Can you come? He's like, no. But the greatest thing after the no is he said, call Daniel Logan. And I get a call. And they're like, well, who the hell is Daniel Logan? So then they're like, he's the kid Boba Fett. And it would make sense because he flies a spaceship in Star Wars. He's kind of a pilot. Why don't you call him? So I get this call, and they're like, hey, do you want to come and be in our movie? And I'm like, yeah, sure, what is it? And they're like, Sharknado. I'm like, heck yes, I want to be in your movie, Sharknado. I had no clue what Sharknado was. I didn't know that it had a huge following. When I go to Germany, they're like, oh, you was in Sharknado, you know? I'm like, yeah, I was. It's the best thing alive. But what happened was, when I went to go film Sharknado, I was actually using the Pan Am. I think it's Pan Am. It's like a airline show about flight attendants. And I walk in with me and my wife, and there's all these beautiful flight attendant actresses. I'm like, this is gonna be a really good set and filming day, right? So they're like, oh, hey, you're gonna be joining us? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be joining you guys. And they're like, oh, so who are you gonna be playing? I'm like, I believe I'm gonna be your guys' pilot. Thinking I'm all cool and mighty. So the guy ends up handing me this handwritten script that he'd wrote on an actual plane while coming to the set. And I'm like, what? And he's like written it down all on chicken scratch, you know, and like put it together all by himself. And the lines didn't quite make sense. So I was like, well, how about we change this to this to this? So I went to go and film, and I'm like, I'm excited to be filming with these beautiful ladies and beautiful people, I should say. And the guy tells me, oh no, they're all on lunch break. And I'm like, what do you mean they're on lunch break? He's like, we're actually borrowing their set. This is not actually our set. We kind of just hijacked their set. So you have their lunch break to film your scenes. And if you don't get them during the lunch break, we can't get this thing done. And I'm like, what about the air hostess? They're like, oh no, they're part of a different show. That we're just using their sets. So it was like the most like, you know, I really realized how bad my career had fallen after being a part of Sharknado. But then it came out and I realized what the big following was. And, you know, it was one of those times where you're like, well, I had to pay the bills that month, and someone came calling with the money to pay, so I took the job. But that was Sharknado.
Excellent. So I have a couple just brief questions for you to get the ball rolling, and then we want to make sure the audience gets a chance to talk as well. So you just want to tell us your origin story, what got you into acting, what attracted you to it?
You know, it was very weird, you know, and people ask, hey Daniel, how can I get into acting? And I grew up in New Zealand, and we didn't have the technologies, or we didn't have the technologies actually that the kids have today. We didn't have YouTube, we didn't have social media and whatnot. I just grew up on an island in the forest, and I played in the forest like a little Ewok or, you know, a hobbit or whatever, and I was a rugby player. So my whole dreams and everything that I wanted to be in life was to be a rugby player and to one day represent my country in rugby. And an audition for a milk commercial comes to my rugby club one day, and my coach ends up putting down, well, he was able to put down 2 names from his team. So he put down my name and his son's name. And my grandmother, my nana, she took me along for the audition, and she was like my mother. And I remember her asking me like, so you think you're gonna get this, son? And I never wanted to disappoint this lady, and I'm like, yeah, Nana, I'm gonna get this. Heck yes, I'm gonna get this role. So I went along, and I ended up doing the role, but they were like, you're just not the right like size and skin tone for this character, because he was meant to be an original rugby player from New Zealand. But they really liked me, so they were like, hey, can you play the guy that gets pushed into the mud? So I was like, yeah, what do you need me to do? And they were like, well, can you kind of dive into the ground like you just got pushed into the mud? So I dove off my feet straight into the ground, into my big forehead, you know, and bounced off the concrete floor, and they're like, oh, that's great. I'm like, you want me to do it again? I'm like, no, one's enough. And I ended up getting that role. So then my grandmother took me to the, to film the commercial. And this lady at the commercial, she really fell in love with me. She's like, this kid's got a lot of energy. He'd be great in the film business. How about I get him a couple more roles? So my mom raised 6 kids on her own. So I was like, sweet, we could use the money. You know, I could keep doing these things. This would be kind of great. So she started getting me so much work that she ended up getting me an agent. And then again, my agent fell in love with me. So it was like just a blessing on a blessing on a blessing. So my agent, she ended up sending me out for everything and anything. And then I was landing quite a bit of roles. I got the Hercules, I did this soap opera in New Zealand called Shoreland Street. I did quite a bit of, I was doing quite a bit in such a short amount of time. And then Star Wars came about. And you gotta remember, I grew up on an island that was like 30 years behind America, right? We had only 3 TV channels. And I said that to someone today. That's why my mom had so many kids, because the 4th TV channel was a TV that didn't exist in her bedroom, you know? We never saw that until the final product. So, hopefully she's not gonna watch this. Sorry in advance. Where was I? Got all scared, you know? I started sweating. I'm like, oh, my mom's gonna beat me. They don't do that to kids nowadays.
You said you weren't aware of Star Wars.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doc. So my agent gives me a call, and she's like hyperventilating, like, oh my God, I got you an audition. And I'm like, okay, you send auditions every week. Like, what's different about this? She's like, it's for Star Wars. And at the time, I'd never heard of Star Wars, because again, we only had 3 TV channels. And this is when you used to have a coat hanger, and you'd stand in the back of a big old box TV, and I was the youngest, so I'd sit there and they're like, don't move, I've got signal, you know? And you're like, well, what is it? You remember you'd smack the TV and it would come back, you know? I feel like I'm so old, but I'm not. Technology just evolves so quickly, you know? So I was like, oh yes, send me this audition. I'll get this role too. And she quite friendlily, I guess not so friendly, humbled me really quickly. And she was like, oh no. You will not be getting this role. But the good thing is, we will be able to forever send you out for auditions as the kid who auditioned to be the kid in Star Wars. Because she didn't believe that, I think there was like 3,000, 4,000 children they auditioned for my role worldwide. And she was like, the likeliness of you getting this is like the likeliness of you winning the lotto. You're not gonna get this, kid, but there's gonna be something good that comes by it, because we can then advertise you as a kid who got to audition to be a kid in Star Wars. 3 months later, my big brother and I playing Grand Theft Auto. Got a couple kids, don't play that game, it's not too fun. Didn't really enjoy it, but I played it a lot. And I would go around and steal the cars and do all the bad things, and my brother used to like to do the missions. So on a good or bad day, he would just kind of beat me up and take the controller off me. Well, this day, instead of beating me up, he turned to me and he's like, hey, I got some good news. And I'm like, well, what is it? He's like, you got Star Wars. And I remember throwing the controller up into the air and being like, what? Because I didn't believe I'd get it myself. So I go run out of the room to start asking my mom and tell everybody, and he's like, whoa, no, get back here. And we call my brother a dump truck for a reason. He's solid, you know? So he's like, get back here. And I'm like, what? He's like, well, I wasn't meant to tell you that you got it. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? You weren't meant to tell me. He goes, well, apparently these Star Wars people think that you have a big mouth and you're gonna go and tell everybody. I'm like, what? I've got a big mouth? No. So for like another month, no one told me anything. Until my mom called me into the kitchen and she's like, Daniel, come into the kitchen, I need to speak with you. And usually that means you're gonna get the wooden spoon or the belt or something, you know? And she sat across the table and she's like, you got Star Wars, and I'm very proud of you. And I remember just being like, oh, okay. And then the look in her face was like, what? And that's my first acting experience in Star Wars, was convincing my mom I didn't know that I actually truly did know that I didn't know, you know? So I started knocking on all my brothers and sisters' doors, and I remember there's a lot of us, so I was knocking on a lot of doors. And they're all looking at me like, you idiot, you already know we know you know. You know, I'm like, yeah, but I'm saving myself from a beating right now. You know, like, hey, I got it. I was running around the whole house telling everybody, and that's kind of how I got introduced to the world of Star Wars. And then it was crazy because, you know, I had no clue what my life was gonna, you know, transpire into becoming. The opportunities that I was gonna be able to have. You know, the blessings that not only I got to get in life, but I was able to give back and give to my family as well. I mean, I've been able to travel the world, and you know, it's an amazing thing to be able to say that I was part of a thing called Star Wars, and I'm from this little island like New Zealand, you know, and if I can do it, I try to say to everybody, anybody has the possibility of being able to do what they have or what they want to do, you know. And with technology today, when people come up to me, I'll sit next to an actor on stage and they'll be like, oh, can you tell us how we can get into acting or what we should do, how to get an agent? And they're like, well, just call up the agency, you know? And you're like, call up an agent? What kind of advice is that? Even I know, and I've been an actor, it's not easy that you're just gonna be able to call up an agent like, hey, yeah, can you start booking me? I'll start working right away, sir. Thank you very much, you know? In today's society, everything isn't given, it's earned. So what I say is, because of the technologies that we have with the internet, there's scripts out online. You can go and download scripts. You can go and find costumes or outfits from secondhand shops or thrift shops and buy these things at a cheap rate. You don't have to have, you know, thousands or, you know, sometimes not even hundreds of dollars. You can find everything that you need in order to be able to make characters or build characters at thrift shops and secondhand shops. Find your scripts online. Reproduce movies that have already done. We have phones. We all have cameras in our pockets. You could ask one of your family members or a friend, hey, hold this while I, you know, read these lines to you. Then you stick them up on YouTube. And then when you do end up having an opportunity or maybe come across being able to talk to an agent, you say, well, I haven't done actually anything theatrically yet or whatever, but I've produced all of this on my own. And then you can show them your YouTube channel, you can show them your social media, and at that point, you already have set yourself a little film reel of all the different characters that you can become and you can create, you know, and anyone can do it. You just have to have the work ethic to be able to put yourself out there and just do the work, really, you know, and that's my kind of advice on how, if I was to try to re-break into it again, I would kind of do it. I've been very blessed, though, actually, because Boba Fett has been not only a part of me, but a very big part of my childhood. You know, I got to grow up Star Wars. I got to grow up as this kid Boba Fett and becoming a man, an adult. And I now have these kids, they come up to my table and they're like, well, not kids, they're like 29, 32, you know, and they're like, hey, Daniel, you were my childhood. And I'm like, what? I'm a child still myself. I'm 36, so I guess I'm not anymore, you know, but I'm like, I'm still a child. But I forget that I was a child while other children were watching me, you know, progress in this universe of Star Wars, you know, and it's just kind of weird that now I've grown to 36, I still want to stay being that little kid, you know, but now these kids have grown into young adults and I was their childhood.
Excellent. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing those memories and for the advice. That's really, really cool. I want to pivot real quickly and give the audience, the children, any children at heart, opportunity to ask you some questions. So we have questions from the audience.
All right, have a great day. See you guys. Sweet.
Yeah, come on up.
That was quick and easy.
Yeah. Yes, come on up. Yeah. Give me the microphone.
My name's Emily. I'm a part of Bounty Boxes on Facebook, and I just wanted to ask you, how did Bounty Boxes start? Did you ever think it would grow the way that it has? Could you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course I can. Thank you for being a part of my group.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Emily. So, I've been married for 14 years, and I love my wife. She's the best thing in my life besides my son, who's 5, and I would go to these conventions, and although I wasn't a fan when I first got into Star Wars, as soon as I became the character and I got immersed in the universe, I became the biggest Star Wars fan there is. So I would go and I would sign my autograph at conventions, make my money, and then at the end of the convention, I would go to the booths and I'd be like, hey, you want to sell me your Star Wars stuff? And they're like, yeah, you're Daniel Logan, right? And I'm like, yeah. You want to sell some stuff to Daniel? And they'd be like, well, what do you want? And I'm like, well, how much of it do you want to sell me? So I used to do a lot of shows in England. I did a lot of shows I got a lot of toys in the beginning from George Lucas. So my collecting part became when I was 13, I would get these huge boxes. I mean, it was like $500 or $600 just in shipping, these huge boxes full of Star Wars toys to my house. So every time I got to open these boxes, that smell of plastic, but I used to call it America, because I'd never been to America before, you know, and I would open this America smelling box and it just got me addicted. So I'd go to these conventions and I'd buy all their toys. And then I'd go home to my girlfriend at the time. She's like, so did you do good at the convention? I said, yeah, I did good. Okay, how much did you make? Well, I bought a lot of Star Wars toys. She's like, what do you mean you bought Star Wars toys? That's not gonna pay the rent, you know? Like, yeah, but it's a good investment for the future. So I had a house in England, and I kind of ended up making it like a hoarder house, and it was hoarded full of Star Wars toys. And it was good because it was safe, but then what happened is it started getting broken into a couple of times, and the lady who lived next door who'd watch my house, she was like 80 years old. So she's like, she would call me and she'd be like, last night someone broke in your house. I thought I heard some noise from next door, but I wasn't too sure. I'm like, well, you're not that good at security anymore, are you? So I told my wife, hey, I'm gonna sell the house. But the problem was that I had a lot of Star Wars toys there. So I called my wife and I'm like, hey babe, we're gonna sell the house, but what we have to do is we have to get a container ship so I can bring my Star Wars toys over to America. But the problem is I already have 3 storage units and a huge office full of Star Wars toys here in America. That my wife's like, what are you doing? We're wasting money on the storage and you keep buying the Star Wars stuff. So she said, well, what size container ship do we need? So I was like, well, what size do they have? She started going through the smaller sizes. I'm like, oh, I think we might need a bigger size. So the biggest size that they have is a 40-foot container, basically like one you see on the back of a big truck going down the road. And she said, "You're joking me." And I went, "No, I think I have about that much stuff. I think we might need two." So we rent the container ship, and I'm literally pushing the last box in, shoving the box in just to lock the door. And it gets to America right as the pandemic hits. And she sees this container outside my other office, and she's like, no, you're joking me. What is this? What have you done? And I'm like, I told you I've been collecting Star Wars toys. So she said, look, you gotta start getting rid of some of this. Like, we can't just keep renting out storage units after storage units after storage units. So I went on Instagram one day, and I was like, hey, I've got like 20 of this one figure. I wonder if anyone would want to buy them. And I forget that I'm Daniel Logan, Boba Fett. And they went like in seconds, I'll buy it. I'm like, that's kind of cool. And then I found out about Facebook. And I was like, well, you can create a group and stuff like that, and, you know, invite people into your group and whatnot. And so I started the group on Facebook called Bounty Boxes, because Boba Fett's a bounty hunter. And I was like, well, we'll see how it grows. Maybe I'll get 1,000 people or whatever, and maybe I can make people happy. They can see a little bit about my life, my collection, my family. A different side of me than what you get to see of me sitting behind a table for a couple minutes while I won't stop talking to you, you know, and you're like, I gotta go to the next place, you know? So I started selling some of my toys off, and it went amazing, you know, and the love that I get back from, you know, people wanting to buy my collection was incredible. So then one day I was like, I did a signing on my page, and then people were like, oh, we'll buy your autograph off my old group. And I'm like, this is crazy, this is amazing. So then I was like, well, how about if we had like Ray Park from Darth Maul come do a signing on the group? And everyone was like, we'll buy his autograph. So then I started bringing in celebrities, and they would do a Q&A like I'm doing here, but live on my group, in my house, in my office, in my house. And they would tell the stories, and I would ask questions that you don't really ever regularly get asked at conventions. And then we'd have a bunch of photos like at a convention, and I'd be like, okay, does anyone want to buy this one? And then people would just support the actors, the franchise, my group. So then I started doing like these wheel spins and giveaways and all these different, you know, amazing things, and people were just attracted to the group, and just it's still growing to today. And it went from being a group that I created, which my whole creation during the pandemic was not only also to sell my toys, but to bring the Star Wars community back together, because this was a very big part of my life. Since I was 15 years old, going to conventions, talking Star Wars, seeing Star Wars toys, being immersed in the world of sci-fi and storytelling. And it was a place where we could gather all back together, and even though we weren't physically together online, we were all still able to share in our passions, share in our love, share in the same franchise that we all connected by, which is Star Wars. So the group went from being a group to being a community to literally becoming a family. Like, we call the females in the group the huntresses, and they're amazing. They stick together, and you know, when I would do auctions, they were like, oh, we're gonna throw $5 for her too, so she can win, you know, and then someone else would outbid her, and then another huntress would jump in, okay, we're gonna throw another $5 in for her too, so she can win, you know, and they do like Secret Santas. They send each other gifts, you know, if they find anything in the wild, they're like, hey, does anybody want this? I've got 5 of them at my local Target, or hey, this store's got this exclusive just out. Go out and, you know, check out your neighborhood or check out your local store and stuff. And it became exactly what I wanted, like a safe, friendly spot where we could be nerds, love Star Wars, and there's no hatred or you know, people being keyboard warriors or trolls, or you know, putting you down for having a passion in something that someone else maybe on Facebook, the whole, you know, universe might not agree with. So people post up their Star Wars toys, their Star Wars, you know, meet and greets with actors at conventions, whatever it be, just it's Star Wars related. And then you have people like liking and commenting on it, you know, and it's like, it's a place where literally you can be supported just for being you, for loving Star Wars. And no, for me it was like, it's the biggest reward, you know, it's exactly what I wanted out of it. It's grown into what it's become. And people like Emily, you know, it's just nice, kind, loving people that will support you, you know, and you'll post something of Star Wars up and they're like, that is rad, that is awesome, you know, and it's legit. I love it. Thanks for, I was about to forget about bounty boxes, so thank you so much, Emily. I don't know how. It's a big part of my life. And then I go live. So then I'll go live on it, like, you know, I try to go live once a week. I used to go a couple times a week. Sometimes now like once every 2 weeks. And then my little son will come in, and I keep my son off social media, but the group is now my family. So I have to share my family with my Bounty Box family too. So he'll come on, he'll be like, hi Bounty Box people, you know, and he'll wave, and you know, you get to see a little bit of who Daniel Logan is, you know, and my family and my collection. And my wife doesn't let me really collect very much anymore. She bought me a poster for one of my last birthdays. It was a Mylock poster, and I was like, wait, I get more? But I still buy once in a while. I just don't tell her, you know, until it shows up. She's like, what is this? And I'm like, oh. I feel like the guy on social media. They gave it to me. They gave it to me, you know? And so I don't collect as large as I have in the past, but I still just find those 1-2 items that I've missed out on. I feel like I need to have. But I have about 300,000 Star Wars toys and collectibles. Yeah, that's what my wife said. You see what I'm saying? So I got a little addicted and a little carried away with collecting, but George Lucas just did such a great job with his franchise and the merchandise, and I just figured, you know, I think at one point it was kind of like, I give back to George Lucas, you know, to show him, you did an amazing job, you gave me an amazing opportunity, and hey, I will just keep buying your stuff, you know, and I know I'm not the only one. A lot of you other people have a big collections out there too, you know, so.
Excellent. Well, that's wonderful. I'm so glad that you've been able to sort of give back to the franchise community, that you were able to take the sort of lemonade that COVID gave us, right, and create this new fan space, a way to connect and to keep that sense of belonging forward, because that's so important to the experience of being a fan of a fandom, to have nerd spaces, and that's wonderful you were able to do that. So.
I think we all forget that, like, this is a big part of our happiness.
Yeah.
Coming to these things, just searching through the booths, you know, looking through each table, you know, hoping to find that one item, you know, coming up and saying, hi, Daniel, I met you, or Mark Dodson, you know, hey, you were great, you know, asking a small little story and being able to walk away with a memory. And, you know, during that period, I had a lot of people reaching out saying, Daniel, I'm just so grateful for you and Bounty Boxes. You know, the pandemic was very hard, but having your group to be able to come to and be able to, you know, and get me away and distract me from the world on the outside of what was going on. It was the most fulfilling thing I've done in a long time. But it's not me giving to the group gives to me and each other so much. As Emily will see, it's like, I'm just so proud to be now the ambassador of my group, you know, and if you come see me, I'm like, sign up for Bounty Boxes, that's the greatest group, and you're like, you know what I mean? You're like, what kind of con is this? You know, like, well, I don't scan things, and I'm like, either do I, but you scan my code. So.
Wonderful. Well, so in addition, we're unfortunately about out of time, but so Bounty Boxes is one place where they can find you. Where are some other places online, on social media that people can look you up?
So Bounty Boxes on Facebook, that's my group, or our group. Emily's like, our group. So that's on Facebook. I have Instagram, which my name is Insta Daniel Logan. And then I'm on Twitter as well. But Facebook is really the place where I feel most comfortable, most safe to be vulnerable, to go live, you know. And I used to be very big on Instagram, and I would comment back, and people would say, wait, you're like the only celebrity that's ever commented back on a comment that I've done and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, it got a little turmoil, you know, and I think it's just a generational thing, you know, and so I just decided to slow down on Instagram and concentrate on Bounty Boxes and put my love and my time and my passion into the group. And it's a seed that has now grown into a beautiful, wonderful community group of family. Yeah, so.
Excellent. Well,
Does anyone have one more question? Yes?
What would be your holy grail of your collectibles or your collection?
Oh, that's crazy. So, I have, I've been very blessed that not only am I a collector, I got into cosplaying too. So I got with this group and they called the Dented Helmet, and they made me my own Boba Fett armor from Empire Strikes Back, which is tailored to me. During the pandemic, you know, I got a little heavier, I ate a lot, and I used to drink a lot. So when I tried to get into the armor, it kind of broke in spots, you know, I'm like, oh, so I had to slim on back down. It looked better on the mannequin than it did end up on me, you know, and, but I really love my armors. I mean, I've got a holiday special as well. I think the holiday special is a beautiful armor. It was the first one I really wanted, but then Empire Strikes Back ended up being produced first. I'm working on a Jango Fett. Because my wife, she actually made my son a young Boba Fett outfit, and we went to Celebration. She worked on it for months, right? She's like, oh, I can't wait to take your son. He looks just like me. He used to have long hair until he was bullied at school. He came home and wanted to cut it. I'm like, oh, okay. So I took him to Celebration, and my wife was so excited he could get all these pictures finally, you know, and show off her wonderful seamstress work, you know. And we were so busy at that celebration that they didn't get a chance to walk around the floor very much. They stayed in the back of the green room or were at the panels with me. She kind of was looking down and sad. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, I worked for months on his outfit and he didn't even get to take any pictures with anybody. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna take him out on stage and we're gonna show off to the whole celebration your work that you did. And he got a bigger response and a bigger applause than I did walking out, because he just looked just like me when I was in the movie, but he's only 5. So I figured, what better armor now to get than the Jango Fett? And he works around as young Boba Fett, and people would not even have a clue that it's me as Jango Fett, and my son, who will probably have to wear a wig now, would be young Boba Fett and looks just like me. That's why I know he's mine. Can't deny that, kid. I'm like, oh man. But I have vintage, you know. I have the whole entire set of the 20 back set. If you're familiar with the vintage, I've got the whole 20 back. I have a vinyl Cape Jawa, which is on card, which is very, very rare. You don't see those on card very much. I've got Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, 1977 and 1962. 82. I'm going backwards. Carded Boba Fett's. I've got a life-size IG-88 in my house. Yeah, I got a little carried away. Yeah, I went from little collectibles to big collectibles. My wife's like, great. My whole idea, right, was when I got this IG-88, I would put it in my front yard. He glows up and his eyes glow red, and you know he moves a little bit. And I thought, man, people would think that's cool. And they're like, no, that's not cool. People would go on Google and literally be like, IG-88 house. And that happens just to be my house. And people would cut, because I want a Petroid to be at my front door with a camera out of its front lens. You know what I mean? So not only is he pretty cool at the front door, but he's got a camera in his eye. But yeah, my wife was like, maybe you should just try to find a spot in your office to put IG-88 so you don't bring so much attention to our house. And I'm like, okay. But yeah, I've got so many collectibles, it's crazy. So go out and invest in Star Wars. It's a really great investment. I tell you what, for the younger generation, Lego Star Wars appreciates by 15 to 20, 30% each year, which most people don't realize. It's a really, really great investment as long as you just don't open them and play with them. You just leave them in that box, which I'd done. I had like probably over 300 Lego sets that I bought. I probably have maybe 100 Lego sets left. Maybe I had 400. I had a lot.
Just buy one of each, right? One to keep, one to play with.
You got it.
Yeah.
Well, I'd go into the Lego store and I'd be that guy like, hey, can you bring out another one? I see a little dent in the corner of this one. Oh, it's a fresh case. What do you mean? I'm like, can you go back and bring me another one? I'm like, I think the other one was better. Can you bring back out the other one? You know, and I'm like, this guy.
Awesome.
But yeah, This is the guy I was saying to you guys that helped to bring us all together today. I think he should get the biggest round of applause because Peoria needs more people like him to bring people like us to come see you guys, all right? And without you guys, there wouldn't be no QuadCon. So bring your friends, bring your cousins, bring your sisters, your brothers, your friends. I haven't seen any animals like dogs or cats here, but bring them. Make sure you spread the word. Hey, this is happening. Make sure you come. See what's going on here in Peoria. This is how we'll keep this thing growing and make it each year bigger and better so that more celebrities will come out and visit you guys here in this area.
And that is exactly what I was going to say, because I know it's hard for these small market, quote unquote, small market areas to support someone like yourself or these other celebrities that show up. So we appreciate you taking the time to actually be here. So I want to say a special thank you to Daniel Logan for coming to Peoria.
Thank you, guys. And we also have Mark Dodson back there. Salacious
Mark was hungry and went to lunch.
He's like, I'm out of here.
He will be back, but
yes,
this is the thing.
Hung out with him too long.
Mr. Logan does have to catch a plane, and so he's going to have to leave here at 1:30. So we need to get him off stage to get over and do the last minute autographs, and then he's got to cut. We're going to cut the line at 1:15 because he always takes time to talk to each person individually. So now is the time to go on over to Mr. Logan's autograph stand, and that way you can get back to your wife, kids, and get back home to LA. So we wish you a safe trip, man.
Thank you, John, for bringing me on. Thank you guys for coming out to this wonderful show this weekend and supporting us. I have to leave on Sundays because I have to be back at home for Monday to take my son to school. So although I have this world that I love and I'm a big part of, my son is the biggest thing in my life. So I try not to lose out on being a father. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and may the force be with you and your families always.